G'day everyone, Artist Wade here with a new DR650 adventure! And I'm riding in the Waddingon State Forest on a Bonza Sunday with a great bunch of blokes that include Mad Mal, Anthony, and of course my mate Steve was there, aka Fred Kick-a-Brick-along, Daniel and Ian, who can be seen here as I invited them to partake in a laying down of the bike ceremony. It's something we like to do sometimes here in Australia. And of course, rounding out the team was my mate Roger, who can be seen here supervising Steve as he pops some slow motion wheelies and digs a big hole. And now it's Anthony's turn to see how close he can get his rear spinning wheel and sprocket to Steve's leg before Steve notices what's going on.
Hey! One for the crash rail.
Yes, we were taking it easy on the singles. We didn't want to burn out as we were riding to Ba-Bum-Ba!
The Ladder of Mordoor!
Now the weekend before this, it was dry. It was really dry. But we'd finally had some much needed rain on the Central Coast and it changed things a little, especially on the Ladder of Mordoor. And let's not forget our mate Roger, who's still recovering from a broken hand and foot. He was putting on a great performance today. Now at some point Roger and Ian left us so they could ride the main trail and meet us at the top of the Ladder of Mordoor. Obviously they've got a lot more common sense than the five of us. So Anthony, Daniel, Mad Mal, Steve-O and I started to ride down, deep down into the bowels of the forest, where hardly any light penetrates the forest canopy. You don't see any life down here. The yowies have eaten it all. There also be witches down here. And it didn't take us long to reach
The Ladder of Mordoor!
And Steve-O was first cab off the rank. He was chomping at the bit. And yes, he made it up first go. Oh, he must have been training all week for this. One bike up, 4 to go. Next rider was Anthony. Would he make it? No, he would not. So as Steve-O and Anthony pushed his little husky up the Ladder of Mordoor, Mad Mal began preparing for his shot. certainly looked like it was in a spot of bother.
If you don't get all the way up there, you know you're going to fall.
I know.
You can't reach the ground past that spot.
Whoa. What is going on with this thing?
It's steep, bro. It's the Ladder of Mordoor. Whoa! Whoa!
Now as Mal was preparing for another run at the hill, down came a couple of boys on their chook chasers, and this will give you an indication of how steep this hill really is. Then up came Mal for his second try on the Ladder of Mordoor. But he was still having trouble getting grip. This was his third go. Nope, poor Mal still couldn't make it. Now he was pulling out all the stops. He was giving it everything he had. He was using all of his experience to conquer the Ladder of Mordoor. Poor Mal, no matter what he tried, he just couldn't do it. Now by this time Roger and Ian had turned up, ready to lend a hand. But pretty soon we realised it was going to take a lot more help to get Mad Mal up that hill.
Yeah, I think you need to start again.
But slowly, centimetre by centimetre, the boys and Mal inched his bike up that hill. And as he slowly wore a deep rut all the way up that hill, you could actually hear him starting to cry. Mal was now getting very, very agitated. And suddenly, out of nowhere, in a fit of desperation, he tried to kill Roger.
Well, go down.
All right. Are you ready, Mal?
Yes, he was ready. He was finally ready to get all the way to the top. It had only taken him 2.5 hours. Next, it was my turn. And fairly quickly I realised it was going to be a lot harder this week than it was when it was drier. And as I waited for another run at the hill, we were playing Tag Team Suzuki. It was now Daniel on his DRZ 400. Would he make it? Not quite. And now it was my go again.
Watch out!
And even though I was stuck in the rut, I was going to give it a red-hot go. I certainly didn't want it to drag out like Mad Mal's attempt. Two Suzuki still stuck on the hill. Oh well, back to you, Daniel. Now, it was at this point that Roger, after watching all of this, said, "I've got a rope. Why don't we use it?" So just like Mal, centimetre by centimetre, the boys pulled and pushed that DRZ up that big bloody hill.
Yeah.
And whilst they were getting his bike up that last bit of the hill, I thought I'd sneak in and go before anyone was watching. Unfortunately, she was still proving too difficult. But this was it. I was determined to conquer the Ladder of Mordoor. Up past Anthony and Steve, who wanted me to give them a high five. It's impossible, boys. I need to steer my bike. Past the point where Daniel and I flipped our bikes several times. Now I'm up to where Mal was curled up in the fetal position crying. Move, Ian, move! I'm going to do this! I'm going to make it!
That was so close.
That's it, boys and girls. That was the last time I was going to fall. Adventure riding. It'll be fun, they said. I'm artist Wayne Dowson, and thanks for watching, everyone.